and your confidence without student debt. Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, GSE, where excellence begins. If you're watching this right now, you're in the right place. This live stream is part of what we do at GSE: real teaching, real skills, and real world training that helps you grow. So before class begins, do three quick things for me. Subscribe to this channel, like this stream, and share it with one person who's trying to level up. GSE is a skill based technical school built for everyday people, people with jobs, families, responsibilities, and big dreams. Our mission is simple: to bring what feels like an insurmountably expensive education to the everyday person at affordable rates with zero debt, and to graduate students who are day one ready. That means when you finish here, you're holding skills you can use immediately in the workplace. At GSE, we train in areas that actually move the needle financially, skills that employers pay for and entrepreneurs use to build income. Here are a few of the core tracks we teach: coding and development, Python; build real projects, learn automation, and develop job ready programming skills. AI for business. Learn how to use modern AI tools to create content, build funnels, automate workflows, and increase profit. Food truck entrepreneurship. Learn how to plan, price, design, and launch a food truck business the smart way. Audio/video engineering. Learn the skills behind live streaming, recording, editing, and production for real environments. And the goal is always the same: skill plus application equals transformation. GSE is for the person starting over, the person tired of living check to check, the person who knows they're gifted but needs structure, the person who's ready to stop watching other people win and start building. Whether you're in Texas, somewhere else in the US, or across the world, our cohorts are online, which means your location doesn't disqualify you. If you can learn, apply, and stay consistent, you belong here. What makes GSE different isn't just the classes, it's the culture. We don't hand out participation certificates. We believe in earned excellence. We build students who can actually do something, not just talk about it. This is a place where you get challenged, supported, and equipped. If you want to enroll, apply for a scholarship, or learn more, go to the GSE website and fill out the application. This is your sign to step in. And if you're here because you heard about scholarships, yes, we do scholarship opportunities, and we're always looking for students who are serious. All right, class is about to begin. Subscribe, like, and share. Apply on the GSE website. Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, where excellence begins. Let's get into today's class. What if the next 12 months could completely change your income, your skills, and your confidence without student debt? Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, GSE, where excellence begins. If you're watching this right now, you're in the right place. This live stream is part of what we do at GSE: real teaching, real skills, and real world training that helps you grow. So before class begins, do three quick things for me. Subscribe to this channel, like this stream, and share it with one person who's trying to level up. GSE is a skill based technical school built for everyday people, people with jobs, families, responsibilities, and big dreams. Our mission is simple: to bring what feels like an insurmountably expensive education to the everyday person at affordable rates with zero debt, and to graduate students who are day one ready. That means when you finish here, you're holding skills you can use immediately in the workplace. At GSE, we train in areas that actually move the needle financially, skills that employers pay for and entrepreneurs use to build income. Here are a few of the core tracks we teach: coding and development, Python; build real projects, learn automation, and develop job ready programming skills. AI for business. Learn how to use modern AI tools to create content, build funnels, automate workflows, and increase profit. Food truck entrepreneurship. Learn how to plan, price, design, and launch a food truck business the smart way. Audio/video engineering. Learn the skills behind live streaming, recording, editing, and production for real environments. And the goal is always the same: skill plus application equals transformation. GSE is for the person starting over, the person tired of living check to check, the person who knows they're gifted but needs structure, the person who's ready to stop watching other people win.
All righty, good afternoon, everybody. Go ahead and drop your name in for attendance Today we'll be taking our semester exam. We're going to do a quick review, and then you'll have 2 hours to do the exam, the remainder of the class period. So I see Raylene, Margaret, Stephanie, Jalissa, Shara, Amberly. So make sure you drop your name in. If you have any questions as we go through the review, please go ahead and ask those questions so that I can elaborate on them before the exam. Once again, we're going to do a review, and then you'll have your exam. It is 82 questions. You'll have 2 hours to complete it. No one is taking the full 2 hours. Most people are doing it in less than an hour. But you will have the remainder of the class period to do it. So maybe we'll review for a half an hour, take a quick break, and then come back, and you'll have the remainder of the class period to do it. So at any point, if you have any questions about anything that we have reviewed this year, please ask them now, and so that we can go through it and make sure you have a really clear understanding of it. So glad that you guys are here. If you have your motivation, go ahead and put it in the comments, and I'll read it out loud. And at the end, if you have a prayer, you can throw that in the comments too, and I will read that out loud as well. Okay. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and jump in. And I guess a quick motivation for you guys is you're halfway there practically. Keep chugging along, or almost to the halfway point. Keep chugging along. You're doing great. This is a new exam. So this is not the exam that you took 2 weeks ago on week 11. So this is a different exam. Any other questions? Matter of fact, let me see how well you guys did on that exam. All right, I see Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie. All right, so make sure you drop your name in so I can do attendance. This is not, but I am going to just see really quickly the statistics on that exam. Okay, so you guys did pretty well on that. Alrighty. No, good. All right, so you guys, I was going to see if there was any weak spots that we needed to recover. And I don't think there's any weak spots. Okay, I think we're pretty good. I just want to make sure that we thoroughly understand AV. We have to understand the cabling well, connections well, plugging things in, and we just really want to know, because we're dealing with really expensive gear, electronics, software. So I want to make sure the point of this exam, the second exam, is to make sure that we genuinely understand signal flow and really understand these concepts more than just a generic kind of surface level understanding, but a deep, true understanding. Because you're going to be, as we get more involved in these upcoming months, you're going to be working more autonomously to more, you guys should have already ordered and set up your own independent setups. You should already have Pro Tools. You should already have DaVinci. Of course, your laptop, audio video interface or audio interface. So you're going to start filming and editing and producing content individually we've already done like a short film. So it's just going to be more and more and more involved. So as we stack and layer, I want to make sure that you have not just a fundamental understanding, but an absolutely incredible understanding. Okay. All right. And at any point in time, you can ask questions, and I will throw them up along with prayers at the end, which we'll do before the exam, or motivation. I see we have a few motivations here already. Shara says, striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest when you haven't planted. Oh, that is so good. That is really good. I'll put a star by that. Alrighty. Stephanie says, never lose hope. Storms make people stronger and last forever. Okay. Never lose hope. Storms make people stronger. There we go. I think that's a correction. And never last forever. Okay. Never lose hope. Storms make people stronger and never last forever. There we go. I like it. Okay. I like it. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and hop on in here. All righty. All right. So, of course, the huge thing is signal flow and understanding signal flow. I think that's one thing that we need to really get a fundamental understanding of. So, we talked about clipping a little bit in Pro Tools, and I shared last week I shared the file that we worked on for you guys to add your own vocals in, which was great. So you guys are becoming a little bit more independent with being able to actually edit audio. So obviously by the end of the course, you need to be able to successfully create video and edit it, color grade it. Same thing with audio, create audio, edit it, as well as connect the pieces to make your video editing system work and audio editing system work. Okay. All right. So signal flow. When I say signal flow, what do you guys think of? Go ahead and type it in the chat. What do you think of when I mention signal flow? When I say signal flow, what is coming to your mind when I mention audio signal flow and signal path? What comes to your mind when I mention signal flow? Also, what comes to your mind when I mention DAW system? Who can tell me what DAW stands for? So signal flow and DAW system. I'm gonna keep moving, and I'm gonna always keep moving forward. And as you guys' answers come through, I will comment on your answers. So when I say signal flow, what do you have? And when I say DAW system, what does that mean? And we're going to be working a lot in Pro Tools. Someone said Pro Tools. Pro Tools is hard for me. No, I get it. Let me remove the GSC logo here. No, I get it. So, but we're going to get more and more in the Pro Tools. Pro Tools is going to be like the back of your hand because we're going to use it so much. We're going to try to use Pro Tools as many classes as we can, as well as DaVinci. All right. Francisco says the flow of sound going from one device to another through cables and access points. Absolutely right. Great job. Absolutely right. So it's the flow of cables, the signal going from one device to the next, right? So here we got a mic or a guitar, or drums, whatever, an instrument into your mixer or interface. So mixer, if you're doing live sound, right, plugs into the mixer and comes out the PA system, or an interface if you're doing, recordings. So it's going into your interface that plugs into your computer and from there into your DAW system, digital audio workstation, like someone mentioned that, Margaret. And then it's going to be recorded by your computer, right? And then it also comes out of that same interface into your headphones, into your monitors for you to listen to. So there you go, your signal flow. And microphone to speakers. All right, there you go. And everything in between. The path audio takes to one device to another digital audio workstation. There we go. For recording, digital audio workstation, for live sound through the mixer. But awesome. No, all great answers. Great answers. Okay, gain staging, clean, clear sound. So you normally don't want to double gain, which as a rule of thumb, double gain as a rule of thumb. So double gain is where you have you're plugged into, say, a preamp that is gaining your mics or gaining your source, and then that preamp is plugged into a second preamp, which is also doing gain. Normally you want to turn on like the second gain, like all the way down. So basically it bypasses the gain staging, which is what makes the sound louder because it can introduce noise. But I've heard where that noise sounds good. So it makes it sound, when something is too clean, it's too digital, it may sound a little thin. So I've seen people use gain staging as a way to warm up the sound, and warm basically just means noise. It adds a noise in, but that noise is pleasant. It's kind of like listening to an old record or an old tape. It may sound considered to sound warm. Oh, man, it sounds so good. It sounds very warm. What that warmth is the noise. So normally you don't want noise in your recording, but sometimes you can gain stage where you're adding in a more pleasant sound curve and noise that's pleasant in a way. And you'll do this in video too. Record video. A lot of times people will record video and add noise in to make it less clean, because it being too clean is less pleasant visually than having a little bit of noise in it. For example, there's something called mist filters. Go ahead and type that in the chat. Mist, M-I-S-T, mist filter. And I want you guys to Google it and learn about what a mist, M-I-S-T, mist filter is. And basically it's a filter that you screw onto your camera lens. So you have this, I don't know, really expensive, multi-$1,000, $20,000, $30,000 camera lens on a big production, or $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 camera lens on a smaller budget production, or less. You have this expensive camera lens, but it's too sharp, and you don't want the picture to look that sharp, especially when shooting females. Often, to make females look heavenly and look, supermodel-esque, you don't want a super, super sharp lens, because it exposes, lines under the eyes and, the crow's feet and cracks and all of this stuff. So you have this super sharp, really expensive lens. What do you do to make it more soft? You put a mist filter or some type of diffusing filter on it, and it purposely removes some of the sharpness. So you have all this expensive gear to shoot 6K sharp footage or whatever, 8K footage or whatever, this high-end footage, super sharp, and then you purposely put a mist filter on it to make it softer, to make it less sharp, so that it's more appealing to the eye. And then you go, well, why not just buy cheaper gear? It'll do that naturally, right? Don't spend so much money on the lenses. Don't spend so much money. And the answer is yes and no. So a lot of the super, super old vintage lenses that would naturally be soft, we're not talking about cheap lenses. They were professional lenses, but they were professional lenses a long time ago. Now they're called vintage. They're vintage lenses. So those are really expensive to get those vintage lenses. So you attach a vintage lens on modern gear, and you get almost a lens with a built-in mist filter almost, right? A super high-end camera and body with a vintage lens that was professionally built, high-end built. But by being older, the picture is not as sharp. So you basically have a built-in mist filter. And that's huge. Okay. So So you have that, but that's going to be still more pleasant to have a vintage lens or a modern lens with a mist filter than it would be to have, say, a old or cheap camera body and a cheap camera lens. The quality is not going to be there, and you're not going to get a pleasant softness. You're just going to get something that looks low budget. You're not going to get something that looks surreal on the skin. You're just going to get something that just looks cheap and kind of cheesy. So there is a difference between getting something diffused or softened versus getting something that just looks cheap. Okay. All right. So here, back to audio. All right. The goal here is strong level without clipping with gain staging. If it goes into the red or it clips, you start getting distortion on your vocals or the instrument. If the volume's too low, the recording is weak, which means the noise floor is higher. You're just going to get a lot of noise. If the volume's too high, you get clipping and distortion, and it just sounds crunchy and it sounds not so good. Okay. The difference between dynamic microphones and condenser microphones. So there is a big difference between dynamic microphones and condenser microphones and what they are used for. What condenser microphones are used for is not the same as what dynamic microphones are used for. So back in the day, you used to have condenser microphones that were used for like recording vocals, recording singers, and all of that good stuff. You know, super high-end, crisp, professional recordings. Okay. And then you would have your dynamic microphones for live settings. And the reason you'd have dynamic for live settings and condenser for recording settings is because they were two different polar patterns. So let me read this and then we'll go get an example of the different polar patterns. So dynamic is rugged. I think of the SM58 microphone. It's a legendary microphone that's been around for decades upon decades upon decades. And it's still like a standard for live sound, even to this day, decades and decades and decades. I don't know when the SM58 came out, over 20, 30 years ago. And it's still the standard for like live sound, right? Because they're just so rugged. You can drop the mic. Singers, they could drop it, pick it up, and it's not distorted, it's not broken, it's still good. I think there's video of people dropping SM58s in beer on purpose and pulling them out, and they still work. It's just super, super rugged. I'm not saying don't try this at home, right? But super, super rugged. They handle loud. You can scream in them, yeah, right? Real loud, full throat vocals in them, and they just take the beating, take the SPLs, which is that loud, source signal. So they're common on these live dynamic fluent stages, and they can just take a beating, take loud sound. So they're super great for live sound, take loud sounds. So they're super great for live sounds. Also, they have a polar pattern that means that it picks up sound at directly what it's pointed at and rejects all other sound. I said I was going to explain it first, but let me see if I can find my picture that I have here, and then I'll come back to it. Oh, goodness, one of those is super. All right. So this is omnidirectional cardioid figure 8. Do I have? Okay. So I don't have the dynamic one up here, but if you will look at this cardioid, that is the best example out of the three of dynamics. So omnidirectional mic is going to pick up 360 around it, right? So pretend that this mic is where you see the crosshair is. Pretend that's the top of the mic. You can walk 360 around the microphone. So if it's on a microphone stand, you can walk 360 around it, and it's going to pick you up. On this figure 8 polar pattern, pretend once again the crosshairs is the mic stand. It's on the mic stand. You could be singing from this direction directly in front of it, and it'll pick you up. You could be singing directly behind it, and it'll pick you up. Both of these, the figure eight and the omnidirectional, if you have a group and you're singing with a group, a choir, or a bunch of people singing into a microphone, then omnidirectional is great. Figure eight, you have people on multiple sides singing. Maybe you want a primary singer singing at 0 and 180, and then maybe background singers singing at 90 and 270. It's going to reject the sound from 90 and reject the sound from 270. And 0 and 180 are going to be primary, or maybe you have one singer that's singing here, but you still want to pick up some ambient sound from the environment. That'll work as well. But it's going to reject whatever's off to the side. So if you have singers 270 and singers at 90, a group, they're still going to be picked up from here because it's going to pick up here and it's going to pick up here. It's just going to be lower than if there was a sound source directly at 180 and directly at 0. Now here at Chordiord, which is similar to Dynamic, it's only picking up on one side of it. Now these are condenser microphones, and I'll explain the difference. So once again, crosshairs is you're looking down from the top. The crosshairs are where the microphone stand is, right? So pretend we're flying above the stage in all of these pictures. We're flying above the stage. We're looking down at the singer and the microphone, okay? So here, the Chordiord microphone, this is the top of it, and the singer is singing directly into it, and it's going to reject everything else. So it's going to reject everything that's not directly in front of it. Okay, so it still has this big Chordiord polar pattern. Still going to pull up a lot of sound, but it's also going to reject a lot of sound. Now, what I'm talking into is a dynamic microphone. And I've shown this before. But a dynamic microphone is not a Chordiord mic, right? You're not going to just talk to the side of it like this. If you have vocals, you're going to talk into it directly to its head, if you will. So you're going to talk directly into the head of it, to the top of it. And what it's going to do is it's going to reject, similar to the Chordiord, it's going to reject everything that is not directly in front of it, which is why it's good for live sound. If you have a bunch of people talking, you have other noise going on in the room, you have speakers. Think about it. You don't want feedback. Omnidirectional, figure eight, Chordiord with these big polar patterns are going to be very susceptible to feedback, which is why they're normally used in recording studio environments with headphones on, right? So you're not getting feedback from the speakers. Well, with a dynamic microphone, it's designed to be used with live sound. So it's going to have speakers in the room, people talking in the room, but you still want the sound to be great, right? So it's going to have a polar pattern where it just shoots basically directly at your mouth, and anything that is not directly at your mouth is going to get rejected. Doesn't mean it doesn't get picked up. It just means the primary sound source is you're going to have to project it directly into the microphone. It's not going to pick up ambient sound as well, which is normally what you want. You normally want it to pick up the singer or the speaker and reject everything else. Okay, where were we? All right, dynamic microphones. Condenser is different. As you can see by their polar patterns, they're going to be a lot more sensitive. Omnidirectional Chordiord, they're going to have this big sweeping area where they pick up sound perfectly, right? So they're going to be more, you're not going to really see them in live environments as much, just because they're going to be susceptible to feedback. They're going to be susceptible to people walking across the stage, some guy talking in the audience, right? It's going to be more susceptible just to pick up all of the noise of the room. So you normally want them in a vocal booth, where a treated room, the room is treated, and all conditions are consistent and controlled, which is why you're going to see them common in studio. Also, normally condenser mics need phantom power, which means 48 volt phantom power. So they need to be powered. Where a dynamic mic, you can just plug it in, doesn't need to be powered. Condenser mic normally needs to be powered. by a battery or the mixer or audio interface or some exterior source. Okay. All right. So video. The equivalent kind of video would be your ISO. So just like we talked about mic sensitivity and polar patterns, videos have video sensitivity. But instead of having condenser, dynamic, and polar patterns, you have ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. So you're going to see that audio and video kind of mimic each other, where, one source of input for audio is the microphone. Source of input for video is the camera. So where with audio, you have gain staging. If it's too loud, it distorts. If it's too low, it's you're going to get a bunch of noise. It's going to be too low to hear it. With camera, you get ISO. If the ISO is too high, you get too much noise, right? You're going to get a bunch of visual noise. So instead of audio noise, you're going to get a bunch of video noise, which is all that grain, right? Go ahead and type grain in the chat. Say grain. I don't want grain. So you'll get a bunch of grain. So ISO too high, you get a bunch of noise. If ISO is too low, it can be dark, and your video's dark. You don't get enough information. Your shutter speed is exposure time. So how fast, how fast is that shutter going? So when they talk about 24 frames per second, right? Your frame rate, that's going to be tied to your shutter speed. And there's a whole thing called 180-degree shutter angle. Type that in, shutter angle. 90-degree shutter angle, 180-degree shutter angle, right? So there's something called shutter angle. Type that in, shutter angle, and I want you to research it, shutter angle. That is going to connect with your shutter speed. So if one is 24, you want the other, your angle at, say, 48. If you're shooting at 30 frames per second, you may want your shutter angle at 100. If you're shooting at 30, at 60, excuse me. All righty. Aperture. Aperture, think of it like your eyeball. The larger your iris opens, the more light it lets in, right? So that's what your aperture is going to be, how much light, like your eyeball. If it opens up wider, lets in more light, and kind of closes, it removes light. It's going to get darker. So frame rate. So 24 frames per second they've been shooting on this for a long time, and our eyeballs are just used to seeing 24 frames per second when we go to the movies. So if you want that cinematic look, and everything is cinematic these days, but if you want that cinematic look, 24 frames per second is what you want to shoot at. Now, if you want a normal video look, like if you're shooting for YouTube, 30 frames per second is normally what you want to shoot at. However, I'm a bit weird, and if it wasn't for storage space, I would shoot storage space and bandwidth and processor speed. I would shoot everything I shoot at 60 frames per second, except movies. If I was shooting a movie, I'd shoot it at 24. But anything I do other than shooting a outright movie, I would shoot at 60 frames per second. Super smooth. It's great for sports, great for slow motion to slow stuff down in slower timelines. But I would shoot 60 frames per second on 60 frames per second timelines just because I absolutely love the way it looks. I do. And but the problem with shooting at 60 frames per second is it's going to use up so much space for recording. Your file sizes are going to be huge, and it's going to use up so much bandwidth for live streaming. So if you want to shoot at 60 frames per second, you need a computer fast enough to process 60 frames per second, internet fast enough to transport 60 frames per second, and a ton of hard drive space. But if it wasn't for those things, I would just always shoot at 60. I think it looks great. Okay, rule of thirds. So the rule of thirds is, you're going to want something to be either center frame, left frame, or to the right of frame. Type that in. Rule of thirds. Rule of thirds. Rule of thirds. Headroom is the space above your subject's head. and lead look room and space in front of where a subject looks. So your lead or look room, head room, and rule of thirds. Let's go to, I have a visual of that at the end. And I should have put them together. All right. All right, so here's your rule of thirds, okay? So I don't know why the bottom is cut off in the PowerPoint, but you can see that there's a third here. I'm not sure why the bottom is cut off of it. But let me see if I can fix that really quickly. All righty. All right, so this is your sensor, right? So you look into your viewfinder. This is what you see. Where you'd want the head of a person, say someone's talking, if you just put them in the center of the frame, you want their head about there, right? So you wouldn't necessarily want their head here. You want their head probably somewhere around here. You want to give them a little bit of headroom. So maybe split this top third in half and put the person's head right there, giving them some headroom. You would want their head right at the top. If the camera moves, you're starting to cut their head off. Or even on phone, someone watches something on the phone and zooms in, then they zoom in and the person's head is cut off, right? So you want to put them probably their head somewhere around here in the frame. And it gives you more of the background. Now, if they're talking to someone, that's a little bit different. Using the rule of thirds, you put them not in the center third, but maybe one person looking to their left in this left third. Another person looking to their right in their right third. That way, when you cut between the scenes, the person who's looking to their left is on the left side, and the person looking to their right is on the right side. And as you're cutting the scenes, it looks like they're looking at each other. If you put them both center, it would look so weird. Like it would throw everybody watching off. Because you'd cut from this person looking left, and they're in the center, then the next person looking right, and they're also in the center, and our brains would just melt, right? So they'd be like, yo, that looks weird. It would feel uncomfortable. It's like, yo, what's wrong with this, right? So if a person on the scene by themselves, a group of people, say, walking down the sidewalk, you put them in the center third. If you have someone maybe looking left, you put them in maybe the left third, right, and the right third, and as you're cutting between them, now they look like they're looking at each other, which is more natural. Okay. All right, now let me go all the way back here. All righty. So lead look room is when you also, if you wouldn't want to put someone looking left in the right third, because it would look like their face is pushing against the edge of the screen. So that's why if someone's looking left, you put them in the left third, right? That way it looks like they're looking across the rest of the screen, right? Versus if I frame them where the person looking left is right against the edge of the screen, now it looks weird. I have all of this headroom on the other side, and it just looks weird. Unless it's like an extreme close-up and then the person just kind of turns their head or they're looking a certain way. But if I have, a little space in that shot, I want to push them to the left side. In the same way, if someone's looking right, I want to push them to the right side. So they're looking across the frame and not at the edge of the frame. Okay, Pro Tools. So we should know how to create a session and open a session, how to arm, because we all recorded last week, right? How to arm the track, record a track, how to look at input levels, how to raise our levels. In DaVinci, we know how to open it up. We've worked a lot in DaVinci, how to cut something, how to edit it, how to rearrange clips, how to add some basic transitions, right? We hadn't gotten in too much Fairlight audio stuff inside of DaVinci. DaVinci will give you some audio editing ability, because it's video, right? It's movies or commercials. You have audio in your commercial, so it'll give you the ability to adjust and tweak your audio for the sake of your video. Nothing like Pro Tools where you're able to have full control over audio. DaVinci isn't designed for you to really have that type of granular control, but more so, hey, let me clean up this audio or raise the volume. Let me do some minor tweaks, and DaVinci is able to do that in audio. Okay, you heard me talk about balanced and unbalanced a lot of times. Let me ask you this. Which one, what anyone remember the phrase I said about balanced or unbalanced? Get to something I said. If you remember that phrase, go ahead and type it in. Also, which one would you prefer to use, a balanced cable or an unbalanced cable, and why? Throw that in. Which cable would you prefer to use, a balanced cable or an unbalanced cable, and why? A balanced cable or an unbalanced cable, and why? So a balanced cable or an unbalanced cable, and why is that? Okay. All right. So balanced, better noise rejection for long runs, and balanced noise rejection for short runs. Unbalanced is fine for short runs, but can get noisy over distance, which is very, very, very true. Jalissa said balanced. Yes. Balanced is going to be normally better in every scenario. And one thing that I always say is get to balanced. Get to balance. Try to get your entire circuit balanced. Now, let me ask you this. Can you have a balanced cable and an unbalanced cable connected together? So can I have an unbalanced cable and a balanced cable? That's right. Cheryl, like, get to balance. Get it to balance. Can you have a balanced cable and an unbalanced cable connected together? All right, balanced cable, it blocks noise, so your audio stays clean, especially over longer distances. That's right. Can you have a balanced cable and an unbalanced cable connected? The answer is yes. You can have a balanced cable and an unbalanced cable connected, but the moment you connect a balanced cable and an unbalanced cable, your entire run is now unbalanced. So if I have a balanced cable and an unbalanced, kind of like if we have two water lines, can we connect both of those water lines to if we have one going water line going south and a second water line going south, can we combine those into one water line going south? Yes. But now we only have one water line. We no longer have two separate water lines. We now only have one water line, right? And if something happens to that one downstream, then it's done. You can't connect a balanced cable to an unbalanced cable, but the moment you do that, the entire run is now unbalanced. So, get to balance means make that entire circuit balanced, not just throw a balanced cable in there. Now, sometimes the hardware itself is unbalanced, so you can't get to balance. You have to use unbalanced. But if you have a balanced output and a balanced input, try to make that run balanced. Now, guitars are often unbalanced, so there's no way to balance that line. It's always going to be unbalanced. Now, they do have some guitars now that they're making XLR, believe it or not. And they're making them XLR. You can plug them in XLR, which I think is brilliant if, they're truly grounding the stuff out and it is truly improving the signal in a meaningful way. But yes, having grounded, balanced cables is going to make a big difference. All righty. All right, connector quick hits. Balanced analog, you're going to have XLR, quarter inch, which is tip ring sleeve. So that's the two black rings on it. Mini XLR, kind of like my microphone when I'm preaching. I have that little, or when I'm speaking in class, I have the little mini XLR that plugs in. With unbalanced, you're going to have quarter inch tip sleeve, which is like an instrument, a guitar, maybe plugging in a keyboard. RCA, which you don't really see too much because it's just an old style that is not that great. You don't really see RCA anymore. It's really been replaced with XLR and quarter inch, but there are still instances where you will see RCA. Even on interfaces, like in our podcast room, it's a new interface, but it still uses RCA, and we're able to connect it to RCA speakers. But it's very rare. 3.5 millimeter, which is the smaller version of the quarter inch, and it can come TRS, which is balanced, or TRRS, which is tip ring sleeve, the one with the microphone on it, like for an iPhone. So you wouldn't see tip ring sleeve in professional environments outside of maybe sportscasters, microphones, or something like that, with the headphone mic set. All right, when you get into the digital realm, SPDIF. So you will see RCA cables, but they're not running an analog signal. They're running digital signals. And at SPDIF, you'll see them, those BNC, those lock-in cables. Another digital framework is Toslink, the fiber optic cables, which is incredible. I think we need to lean more into that as far as audio video technology. And then RJ45, which is your Ethernet. That says Cat 5e, but you have Cat 6, Cat 7. Okay. All right, DI boxes. You know I'm not a huge fan of DI boxes. You know, unbalanced to balanced translator, it can get rid of hum, static. So DI boxes are critical with live sound, but I just try to avoid them all together. I just try not to do DI boxes, and just to, you know, get it to balance if I can. But hey, if you have a guitar, you got to plug it in to some snake and you're running 200 feet or something, you got to do what you got to do. But I would prefer, if I'm doing these kind of crazy runs, get a stage box. It runs Ethernet from your mixing board to the stage, and now you're not doing some 200-yard analog run, right? Everything is digital, stage box, and now you just plug in that guitar, you know, 20 feet away into a stage box, or it's wireless 20 feet away to a stage box that's going digital all the way back to the mixer. That way I'm not having to throw a lot of middlemen in there, and less chance of noise and static, signal loss, that kind of stuff. Converts high Z unbalanced to low Z balanced. Unless you run long XLR stage boxes, consoles with less noise. Common control, you know, you can use a foot pad, ground lift to get rid of noise, all that good stuff. Noise via unregulated, normally like EMI, RFI noise. All right, run length cheat sheet. Balanced analog, you know, if you're going 300 feet or more, you definitely want to be balanced, or just stage box. Go digital, guys. Unbalanced, you know, 25 feet, but you can normally push that further, actually a lot further. But 25 feet, and you can get near perfect sound. SPDIF coax, this is saying like 10 feet, you can still run this further. Toslink, 10 meters, you can run that a whole lot further. And Ethernet audio, 100 meters. But once again, you could probably run that a lot further, 150 meters at least. All right. Speaker level cabling. So these are going to be unbalanced cable, but they're going to be 4 to 5 times thicker, because they're carrying current to pump, you know, push these speakers. So they're going to be high current, low impedance, or low resistance. So different rules really apply to this. Can you use patch cable, which is your normal like unbalanced cable for speaker cable? You can. If you're running it with amps, good possibility that cable will overheat and malfunction. If you're running it without amp and just like a line level signal to a speaker that is self-amplified, so it's a powered speaker, you may be able to get away with it, because you're just running a line level signal. But normally if you're running from an amp to a speaker, you want an actual speaker cable. So speaker cable is not an instrument cable. It's not what you plug into a guitar. It's going to be much thicker. It's not what you plug into a patch bay, much thicker. It'll have speak-ons. It may have speak-on locks, so it locks in place so someone doesn't trip over it. And it's going to be much, much thicker. Okay. If you have hum or buzz, if it's, you know, a hum, like you can get it from, if you have an amp plugged into a different place than whatever the source is, whether the mixer, say mixer in this case, the difference between the electrical signal or oscillation would be a better word, electrical oscillation, the electricity coming into the mixer. And say you have the mixer plugged in to a different outlet or far away from the actual amplifier, the difference in frequency in those two plugs can cause this hum. So often you can get, and I've come across this in the field, and often if you just plug them up on the same electrical circuit, then it instantly goes away. Also, the other part is just RF, people's radios, CB radios, all of that stuff. If you have unshielded cable, it bleeding and through the cable. So you can swap the cable and test it that way. You can reduce the run length if possible. That normally fixes a bunch of problems. Get to balanced, which fixes a massive amount of problems. Break the ground loop with isolation or ground lift when there's two different, you're plugged into one circuit and then your amplified device plugged into a different circuit. Switching one to ground lift can fix that circuit difference. Check power and dimmers. In my office at home, I had a bunch of a strong hum, and it's because I had a bunch of LED lights in the roof, and that was on a dimmer, and a dimmer, they weren't, I guess, designed to be on a dimmer, and so they created hum. Okay. Scene transitions. Video transitions communicate time, place, mood, and meaning. Time, place, mood, and meaning. Type that in. Transitions communicate time, place, mood, and meaning. Time, place, mood, and meaning. Okay, you're going to use them to guide attention and avoid confusion. All right, so I don't know why these, it's just so small. Let me see if I can make them bigger here. One, two, three, four. So let's see if we can. There we go. Not sure why it made it so small, but here we go. All righty. So cut is just a simple cut where you get to, it's an instant change, strongest when motivated, or cut on action. So that's literally just a cut. That's all it's doing. It is just a straight cut clip, and it's cutting from one action to another. That's all. It's just cutting from one action point to another. J-cut, the next scene's audio starts before the picture comes in. So J-cut, think jukebox. Maybe the J, put it in your mind, J is for jukebox. So the audio starts, the voices or the music starts before you see the next picture. So the audio comes in before the picture. That way it helps your brain get ready for the next scene. Then you have L-cut. Previous scene audio continues after. So look at an L-cut like a lag cut. Now the audio, instead of J-cut, the audio comes in before you see the picture. Lag cut is the audio hangs around after you see the picture. So the next video is there, but you still, Star Wars, I think, is really great at this. So they'll do a cut. So you're in the next scene visually, but the other scene is still there fading out, right? And it helps your brain kind of catch up. And then a dissolve is just going to fade both of those videos, video and audio, into each other. It's just a dissolve, cross dissolve. A wipe, y'all remember that old Star Wars 2? It just wipes across the stage like a windshield wiper. It just literally wipes across. Match cut. I'm throwing a football, right? And then the other person catches the football. Match cut. Or I'm flicking a light switch, and it cuts on the light switch to someone else flicking a light switch or doing a similar motion. Smash cut is something that's abrupt. A lot of the YouTubers, they put their hand on the screen, right? And then it goes black. And then as it goes black, something else comes in, right? And or some loud sound or car crash or whatever. Whip pan, that blurry swipe of the camera to something else. And then cross-cutting, alternate locations, actions to imply simultaneity. How do you say that? But it's happening simultaneously, which means, they do this in like bank robbery movies. While the person's, cleaning out the safe, another person's driving around the car, and maybe you'll see a split scene where you can see both actions happening, and it's just to show that, hey, these things are happening all at the same time, not one after another. All right, signal flow, source input, your microphone and instrument into your preamp, which is maybe to some type of amplifier, into your mixer or interface, and then to your DAR system, then out to your monitors or headphones. So if it's a recording scenario, you got your mic or instrument into your preamp, which a lot of interfaces have preamps built in. That interface is USB, right? Or, whatever, which is normally USB, into your computer, which is going to have your DAW system like Pro Tools, and then out of Pro Tools back through your interface to your speakers and headphones. If this is live sound, microphone instrument into your mixer preamp, which your mixers normally are preamps, into your mixer, which is now can also go into your computer if your mixer connects to the computer, which a lot of modern ones do. But mixer into your, then that's going to go from the mixer back to your speakers. And a DAW is optional. We kind of went over polar patterns. Omnidirectional means regardless, you can walk 360 around that mic and it's going to sound the same. Cardioid, which means if you're in front of the mic, it's going to pick it up. But if you're off axis, it's not. And if you're totally behind it, it's rejecting that sound. And figure 8, picking up in front of the mic and behind the mic, rejecting the sound from the sides. And these are cardioid polar patterns. Dynamic is just going to pick up speaking directly into the head of the mic and going to reject everything that's off axis. All right, your exposure triangle, you have aperture. So we talked about this. We talked about your aperture, how big that eye opens, right? Your f-stop, like F1, they call it's going to be a fast lens. F2, F3, we call fast lenses. Big aperture is going to let in a lot of light. When you start stopping down, F10, F12, what you're going to get is more in focus. So the person is, say, 3 feet away from the camera, they're in focus, and the thing, 30 feet away, if you're like F12, somehow f-stop is also in focus, right? If you have, and those are called slow lenses. If you have a fast lens, f-stop like f1.2, and we're going to go into f-stop, don't worry. I had you download Blackmagic on your cameras in the beginning of the year, and we're going to use f-stops and play around with that. But f-stop, just if it's a fast lens, a f1 to f3 is going to let in a lot of light, but have very shallow depth of field. Shallow depth of field is when the subject is in focus and everything else behind them is blurry. But as you increase in f-stop, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, infinity, you're going to have let in less light, which means the scene will get darker. You're going to have to add in a lot more light. And then also everything is going to be in focus behind them. ISO is a lot low ISO. You're going to need more light in that scene. High ISO is going to make the scene brighter. However, it's going to add in more noise. And then your shutter speed is just that, how fast your shutter goes. And they have electronic shutters now. And on this is called the exposure triangle, because this is what controls, these three things are what control your exposure. And exposure, you can, a simplified way is just think how bright your scene is, how bright or how dark your scene is. And we're going to get into the Blackmagic app that you guys have on your phones. It turns your phone into a professional film camera in the sense that you have these mechanisms to play with, and we'll play with those. Kind of a visual representation of frames per second. So imagine that this is a second. 24 frames means it captures 24 pictures, because remember, motion is an illusion. We talked about that. Type that in the chat. Motion is an illusion. Motion is an illusion. All it is pictures played together really quickly. So 24 frames per second is 24 pictures per second. 30 frames per second is 30 pictures. So each one of these will represent a picture. 60 is 60 pictures per second. So in 1 second, it takes 60 pictures, right? So every second, you're either seeing 60 pictures, 30, or 24. 24 is what you see in movies. Gives you a very natural motion blur. Someone waves their hand, you get that kind of blur effect to it. 60, less motion blur, but just looks cool to me. All right. I see Jalissa. Motion is an illusion. Type that in. Motion is an illusion. I see Margaret. Motion is an illusion. It is. Humans see motion because at any given point, you can stop the frame and we'll see it. Now, our brain may not process it. Our brain has a lag time. Our eyes will pick the information up. Our brain processing it is something else. But as far as cameras go, motion is illusion. They're not capturing every instance of everything. They're capturing pictures, and they're playing those pictures back so quickly that it gives you the illusion of motion. All right. So we went over the rule of thirds, J-cuts. So go ahead and tell me, what's the difference between a J-cut and an L-cut? What's the difference between a J-cut and an L-cut? What's the difference between a J-cut and an L-cut? Shara says motion is an illusion. All right, so what's the difference between a J-cut and an L-cut? Kind of has an example here, right? J-cut. All right, audio comes in first. That's your jukebox. And a laggy L-cut, audio continues after. So video A, then it cuts to video B, but the audio continues on. Video A cuts to video B, but the audio was already there. That's right, Francisco. Good job. All right. Visual dissolve. This is just a cross dissolve. Shot A fades into shot B as shot B fades into shot A. So you start with 100% of shot A. Then at some point you cross into 50% of shot A and 50% of shot B. And then you end with 100% of shot B. So shot A across dissolve fades shot A into shot B and then off the screen, and shot B into shot A and then off the screen. All right, no, where's my noise? All right, so balance versus unbalance. You have unbalance. Remember, you're just going to have your tip and your sleeve. So say you're a hot, and then your signal, and then you're going to have some noise, or your cold inverted signal noise, where with balanced, you can almost kind of do error, in computers, we'd say ECC, error code correction, right? Where you can compare the signals and you have a grounded, a dedicated lead that's grounded. So you're just going to get, you're just going to have less noise. Okay, we have a question. Can you just say overlap? What do you mean by overlap? Explain that a little bit better so I can answer. I don't know what you mean by overlap. Because in all of them, in the audio examples, in the video examples, there's overlap. So let's go back one. So you do have an overlap region here, if this is what you're mentioning. So you do have an overlap region where as you're fading shot A out, you see more and more of shot A. There'll be a point where you see 50% of shot A and 50% of shot B, and then less of shot A, 40, 30, 20 to 0, right? Okay, J cut and L cut. So J cut and L cut, you get no necessary overlap of video, but you do, and you really don't get necessarily an overlap of audio either. It's just the audio can come in of one. Now you can fade out audio and fade in audio, or fade out video, fade in video, but that's not necessarily the definition, because like here, say we just have straight cuts. So video and a J cut cuts, and then there's video B. So there's no overlap in video A or video B. And then in audio A, you can have it do a total cut or be, gone, and then audio B starts. So there's no overlap in audio either. You can have overlap in both of these cases, but it's not necessary, and sometimes you won't. So the video won't overlap and the audio necessarily won't overlap. You can, but it's not necessary to be a J cut or L cut. However, I don't know if overlap is the word I would, because when I think overlap, I think transitions or dissolves, kind of like here, where you do have an overlap region where you're getting both of these videos with the video dissolve or the cross dissolve. But in here, you may or may not be getting both audios. You may or may not be getting both videos. This could just be a straight cut, and this could also just be a straight cut where there's no overlap of audio or overlap of video. Even though you do get audio B starting in video A, since one is video, one is audio, I don't know if I describe it as overlap, but I think I get where you're going. Audio B or video A is playing over audio B, but I wouldn't necessarily use the word overlap, because audio A doesn't necessarily need to overlap in audio B, and video A doesn't need to necessarily overlap into video B. Hopefully that answers the question. All right, any other questions? Any other questions? All righty. If you have any other questions, feel free to answer them during this break. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll prep to start the test. So if you have any questions on the break, go ahead and type them in the chat. All right, see you in a bit.
What if the next 12 months could completely change your income, your skills, and your confidence without student debt? Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, GSE, where excellence begins. If you're watching this right now, you're in the right place. This live stream is part of what we do at GSE: real teaching, real skills, and real-world training that helps you grow. So before class begins, do 3 quick things for me. Subscribe to this channel, like this stream, and share it with one person who's trying to level up. GSE is a skill-based technical school built for everyday people. People with jobs, families, responsibilities, and big dreams. Our mission is simple: to bring what feels like an insurmountably expensive education to the everyday person at affordable rates with zero debt. And to graduate students who are day one ready. That means when you finish here, you're holding skills you can use immediately in the workplace. At GSE, we train in areas that actually move the needle financially, skills that employers pay for and entrepreneurs use to build income. Here are a few of the core tracks we teach: coding and development, Python; build real projects, learn automation, and develop job-ready programming skills. AI for business. Learn how to use modern AI tools to create content, build funnels, automate workflows, and increase profit. Food truck entrepreneurship. Learn how to plan, price, design, and launch a food truck business the smart way. Audio/video engineering. Learn the skills behind live streaming, recording, editing, and production for real environments. And the goal is always the same: skill plus application equals transformation. GSE is for the person starting over, the person tired of living check to check, the person who knows they're gifted but needs structure, the person who's ready to stop watching other people win and start building. Whether you're in Texas, somewhere else in the US, or across the world. Our cohorts are online, which means your location doesn't disqualify you. If you can learn, apply, and stay consistent, you belong here. What makes GSE different isn't just the classes, it's the culture. We don't hand out participation certificates. We believe in earned excellence. We build students who can actually do something, not just talk about it. This is a place where you get challenged, supported, and equipped. If you want to enroll, apply for a scholarship, or learn more, go to the GSE website and fill out the application. This is your sign to step in. And if you're here because you heard about scholarships, yes, we do scholarship opportunities, and we're always looking for students who are serious. All right, class is about to begin. Subscribe, like, and share. Apply on the GSE website. Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, where excellence begins. Let's get into today's class. What if the next 12 months could completely change your income, your skills, and your confidence without student debt? Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, GSE, where excellence begins. If you're watching this right now, you're in the right place. This live stream is part of what we do at GSE: real teaching, real skills, and real world training that helps you grow. So before class begins, do 3 quick things for me. Subscribe to this channel, like this stream, and share it with one person who's trying to level up. GSE is a skill-based technical school built for everyday people. People with jobs, families, responsibilities, and big dreams. Our mission is simple: to bring what feels like an insurmountably expensive education to the everyday person at affordable rates with zero debt. And to graduate students who are day one ready. That means when you finish here, you're holding skills you can use immediately in the workplace. At GSE, we train in areas that actually move the needle financially, skills that employers pay for and entrepreneurs use to build income. Here are a few of the core tracks we teach: coding and development, Python; build real projects, learn automation, and develop job-ready programming skills. AI for business. Learn how to use modern AI tools to create content, build funnels, automate workflows, and increase profit. Food truck entrepreneurship. Learn how to plan, price, design, and launch a food truck business the smart way. Audio/video engineering. Learn the skills behind live streaming, recording, editing, and production for real environments. And the goal is always the same: skill plus application equals transformation. GSE is for the person starting over, the person tired of living check to check, the person who knows they're gifted but needs structure, the person who's ready to stop watching other people win and start building. Whether you're in Texas, somewhere else in the US, or across the world. Our cohorts are online, which means your location doesn't disqualify you. If you can learn, apply, and stay consistent, you belong here. What makes GSE different isn't just the classes, it's the culture. We don't hand out participation certificates. We believe in earned excellence. We build students who can actually do something, not just talk about it. This is a place where you get challenged, supported, and equipped. If you want to enroll, apply for a scholarship, or learn more, go to the GSE website and fill out the application. This is your sign to step in. And if you're here because you heard about scholarships, yes, we do scholarship opportunities, and we're always looking for students who are serious. All right, class is about to begin. Subscribe, like, and share. Apply on the GSE website. Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, where excellence begins. Let's get into today's class. What if the next 12 months could completely change your income, your skills, and your confidence without student debt? Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, GSE, where excellence begins. If you're watching this right now, you're in the right place. This live stream is part of what we do at GSE: real teaching, real skills, and real-world training that helps you grow. So before class begins, do 3 quick things for me. Subscribe to this channel, like this stream, and share it with...
Alrighty. Hope everyone enjoyed that break. We're back. All right. If you're back, go ahead and just type in "I'm back" in the chat. If you're back, go ahead and just type in "I am back" in the chat. If you're back, go ahead and type in "I am back" in the chat. Okay. Alrighty. Good. Alrighty. So the So the exam is up. take it now. You have 2 hours. So no one no one has needed 2 hours on any of the exams. I don't think you'll need 2 hours. Just take your time. It's plenty of time. It is open book. So take your time, go through it, and you'll be fine. I do see a prayer we're going to read. Stephanie posted a prayer. I said if you post a prayer, I'll read it at the end. So I'll read your prayers here right before we take the exam. All right, so everything is posted. Well, right after the prayer, you can start the exam. Let's see. Okay. All right. Jalissa wants us to also keep her in prayer. She's been battling bronchitis, so we'll keep her in prayer also. And if you have a prayer, you can put it up here, and I'll read it. As we close out the live portion of class and you guys transition into your test, I'm going to end the stream right after the prayer, and you guys can do your exam. And once you finish the exam, you're done for the day. If you cannot find me online, because remember your videos, you just create them, whatever you use. You don't have to put them on YouTube anymore. You can put them on your Facebook. You can put them on your YouTube channel. You can put them on your IG. Just tag me in them, and make sure to upload them, of course, to Canvas as well. All righty. I don't see there any more questions. So I'm going to read the prayer. Stephanie, there we go. I found it. All right. So let's pray. Lord, I come to you and ask for comfort and peace for Pastor and his family as they go through this hard time. And may they celebrate the life of Uncle Benny Sykes as they lay him to rest. Thank you. Your grace, peace, and love, I pray for us all as we learn and retain the information that is being taught to us. You are a good and gracious God. Thank you for always showing up for us and showing up right on time. May we all have a blessed and amazing day. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's pray for Jalissa as well. Lord God, touch Jalissa, heal her of this bronchitis. Bronchitis be gone in the name of Jesus. We pray total healing over Jalissa right now. In Jesus' name, amen. All righty. Making sure I don't miss a comment. Jalissa says, thank you. Shara says she just got over pneumonia. Glad you're over it. Glad you're feeling better. Blessings. Margaret says she's praying for Jalissa. You guys have such great hearts. Bless you all. Okay. All righty. Well, God bless you. This review. Someone says their link is showing old exam. Are you guys able to start your exam before I in the live stream? Go to week 13 exam. Make sure that you're in the right exam. Are you able to start your exams? I want to double check before I click off. Someone said their exam was saying old exam. So make sure that you're in week 13 exam. Should say, excuse me, not week 13. Hold on. Week 14. Should say week 14 exam. And once again, of course, it's in Canva. All of your exams are in Canvas. Excuse me, I don't Canva, Canvas. So all right. So can someone go in Canvas and make sure that see if their exam is working, so we can see if this is a localized problem. Alrighty. So go ahead and start your guys' exam. Then I want to make sure that you're able to start. You have 2 hours. You'll be done before the end of class, before 3. And let me know if you're in Canvas. You'll see it under week 14. Okay. Let me make sure that I didn't. Okay, let me make sure that I did not use the old exam. I'm glad you guys caught that. Okay, I think it's the. So let me remove that. I think it added the wrong quiz. All right, hang tight. Let me make sure. That we have the right thing here. So let's see if we can get the right exam going here. Oh, it's already in here. Okay, so it's showing that it's already here. So let me see what's going on here. Sorry for the delay, guys. I'm not sure why. Let's see. Okay, I think I found it. Okay, I think I found it. Let me see if it'll pop up for you guys. What in the world? Oh, okay. So let's delete one. I see what happened, guys. All right. So it printed twice and it got confused. So we're going to delete one of these quizzes out of here. I see what happened. It printed twice and it got confused. So we're going to delete one of these out of here. We're going to rename the other. All right. I see what happened. Alrighty. I think we're cooking now. There we go. Okay. All right. I think we're cooking now. All right. I believe that it should be fixed. So go and uh, see if you can get in it now. It should be good to go. So let me know if it's good to go. Should say semester exam 2, AV Engineering Foundations exam MCTF only. And that should be working. So let me know if that's working. We put in the wrong exam there. All right. It's good. Awesome. Sorry about that. It looks like it was in there twice and the system was confused on what it was. Okay. So I deleted one out, the other one, and renamed the other one, so it should be good. All righty. Awesome. Well, bless you guys. Go ahead and start your exams, and I will see you. We'll most likely be online next week as well, as I'll be in Louisiana for my uncle's funeral. So we'll be online next week. I presume, I'm pretty positive we'll be online next week as well. Okay. I see it. Jalissa says it's good. Stephanie says it's good. All righty. Well, bless you guys. All right. Shara says she got it. Perfect. All righty. Awesome. All righty. Well, I will see you guys next time. Good luck on your test, even though you don't need it, because you are very well prepared. You are smart. You got this. And after you take your exam, take a few minutes and just play around with Pro Tools. Try to familiarize yourself with Pro Tools. Pro Tools and DaVinci are going to be your left and right hand, so make sure you're familiar with that. All righty. Talk to you guys later.
What if the next 12 months could completely change your income, your skills, and your confidence without student debt? Welcome to Griffin School of Excellence, GSE, where excellence begins. If you're watching this right now, you're in the right place. This live stream is part of what we do at GSE: real teaching, real skills, and real-world training that helps you grow. So before class begins, do 3 quick things for me. Subscribe to this channel, like this stream, and share it with one person who's trying to level up. GSE is a skill-based technical school built for everyday people, people with jobs, families, responsibilities, and big dreams. Our mission is simple: to bring what feels like an insurmountably expensive education to the everyday person at affordable rates with zero debt, and to graduate students who are day one ready. That means when you finish here, you're holding skills you can use immediately in the workplace. At GSE, we train in areas that actually move the needle financially, skills that employers pay for and entrepreneurs use to build income. Here are a few of the core tracks we teach: coding and development, Python; build real projects, learn automation, and develop job ready programming skills. AI for business. Learn how to use modern AI tools to create content, build funnels, automate workflows, and increase profit. Food truck entrepreneurship. Learn how to plan, price, design, and launch a food truck business the smart way. Audio/video engineering. Learn the skills behind live streaming, recording, editing,